Feels good to be back. So, as you might know, my name is Hanalei Swan. I'm an artist, author, international speaker, and fashion designer. I started my first fashion company when I was 11 years old. I've been traveling since I was 1 year old, and I've been speaking on stage for as long as I can remember. But even though I've stood on this stage 1,000 times before, I am no more confident and brave compared to when I first stepped on this stage. This is something that I've always been scared to say aloud. I've always been scared to be authentic in front of people. And I thought today, I need to challenge myself. And if there was any point in time in life to step out of your comfort zone, it is now. And so because of this, I wanted to listen to my intuition and dive into what can I do that scares me? And so today I created a poem, a spoken word poem, about refinding and rediscovering your self-love, going from losing it to finding it once more. Because I think this is something that all of us have experienced before in our life, where we haven't treated ourselves kind enough, where we've talked down to ourselves. So, if you would like to, thank you. So today, I'm going to share my poem. Thank you. Sometimes I forget how it all began. The moment I could feel the wind flowing through my hair, and all I could hear was laughter in the air, with beams of sun dancing on my skin as I danced with my feet in the sea completely carefree. I found my heart buried in the beach. There I was fully me, raw light, undisturbed by the pressures of life. I never really thought anything would change. This love for not only the world around me, but for myself. And now I often forget that that little kid is still inside of me. As you grow up, you begin to realize that the world is growing faster than you. Things that once seemed small when you were young become skyscrapers looming over you. The pressure from the sky begins to push down on you like bricks, becoming heavier and heavier the longer time ticks. When I finally opened my eyes and looked up at the sky, I realized how small I was. One of the first times I felt small was under stage lights. The moment my breath became short and my voice became grand, bouncing off the walls and into the crowd of hundreds of people, all waiting to hear what I had planned. Illuminated under a microscope, the pressure began to set in. I could only wonder if I was doing enough for these people who never even knew me to be proud of me. I could only wonder what they thought of me. Who is this girl, barely 13, telling me what to think? Look at the way she walks. Look at the way she talks. I bet she can't even come up with a coherent thought. I could only imagine what they thought of me. As my years flickered by, these towns populated by the problems within my mind grew into cities. If you ever want to feel small, go to a city. While you're there, you'll wonder if you really matter in the grand scheme of things. And if things were to change, and if you were to leave, would things change? Or would life continue on never to remember your name? It probably would never remember my name. These thoughts corrupted my brain. Will I ever be enough, do enough, feel enough, enough? Shame settled over me like dust from a construction site, making its homes into the cracks and creases on my skin. As these skyscrapers of worry continue to rise from my mind, each floor built with self-doubt and missed opportunities overshadowing the vibrant landscape of my younger self, turning my aspirations into mere foundations of what could have been. I could no longer stand the person I was within. I need a disclaimer plastered on my body for anyone who may dare talk to me, telling them not to worry because I hated myself as much as they probably hated me. I'll tell them all the lies that they thought about me were true, and I'll wear their lies with pride because I began to believe they are real. You don't know how much I wanted to change the person I was within and swap into someone else's skin. It's so easy to fall into this trap of losing yourself when you truly believe the whole world wants you to be someone else. And now I forget that little kid is still inside of me. The one that found light in the darkest of places and painted with the ever-changing hue of the sunset. I forget that she is still inside of me. Buried underneath the towers and the concrete rubble of lies I told myself, saying I would never be enough. Like a bird trapped in a cage without a key, waiting to be let free. She is there, but over time her voices became bare as I've learned to ignore the tendency to listen, to put my ear up to the door of the cage. I've began to silence the want to be free. Like a solitary star in fading twilight, sometimes I wish I could go back in time to grasp that ever-fading light before it slipped into the horizon, where memories and possibilities intertwined like constellations in the night sky. If I could, I would go back and look that little girl in the eyes and show her all the things she could never see. Help her remember all the lessons she lost. Lift her up and show her the sky isn't so scary. I'll tell her so many things. I'll tell her never be afraid to cry. Let the tears that pour from your eyes soak into your skin and release the emotions you've held within. I'd reassure her to release the pressure. You place bricks of worry on top of your body, crushing you smaller and smaller until you feel like a nobody. I'd reassure her that you are somebody. And no matter the pressure you may feel from the world around you, that you still matter. You're not here to die, not here just to stay alive, but to truly live. I want you to promise me that you will truly live. If I could see my younger self again, I would sit her down and tell her I'm sorry. I'm sorry for all the helpless nights thinking I was never good enough. I'm sorry for dwelling over all the things I could never do right. I'm sorry for pushing you to the side and leaving you to dry like a flower starved of light. I watched you slowly begin to wilt away, and I never did anything about it because I found comfort in the falling of your petals and my newfound solitude. But as the seasons changed and my petals still did not grow, I realized how empty I was without you. Because you were the light in my eyes that always managed to find beauties in the simplest things held within life. Like watching the delicate sunbeams dance through the tree leaves, the feeling of sand slipping through your hands, the way dust dances underneath light like glitter thrown into the sky. No matter how faint, I can still see through your eyes. I want to remind you that the stars in the sky are not as far as they seem. These buildings around you are so much bigger, are so much smaller than you believe them to be. And you are so much bigger than you know. Let your roots grow through the concrete and little cracks held within the street deep beneath you. Watch as those cities around you begin to dissipate as your roots spread and the love for yourself begins to regrow again. Those buildings with bricks made up of the worries you gave yourself and the problems you've collected and held onto so dearly are not structurally sound. Remember who you are and knock those buildings down. Thank you so much.